Hello, everybody. Welcome to a live edition of Just Listen to Yourself. This is an experiment, really. And I just had some things to say, and I have a YouTube channel. And so I decided to get on the YouTube channel instead of go through the typical process of getting a podcast cut and edited and all that good stuff. Uh, you can see the area around me looks a little different that it has in the past. I'm working on building a studio here, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I wanted to talk about what is going on with the Democrats. Did you all watch the show last night? The show. I mean, it is like reality TV. I was watching CNN and MSNBC as they were breaking down the speech, post speech. I honestly, I spend most of my time these days at CNN and MSNBC on my TV because it's comedy gold. It's gold. It is it's like election night every night. They are confused. I know a lot of you out there are going, when are the Democrats going to figure it out? You're feeling a little nervous. You're thinking maybe they've got some tricks up their sleeve like they usually do. But I can assure you from watching CNN and MSNBC religiously since election night, I can assure you that they don't get it. And they are not even close to getting it. Got somebody from Nuremberg, Germany. Hello, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. It is a crap show, to say the least. I went into last night expecting fireworks. I went into that joint address expecting Democrats to make a show. In fact, you can go to my Substack. I actually talked about this, wrote about it on my Substack today. I had 4 reasons why the Democrats lost last night. 4 reasons why they tanked that opportunity. And one of the things that I said was that I fully expected them to act crazy and loud and boisterous because they didn't even make it a secret. They didn't hold it a secret. Ilhan Omar was on MSNBC. She was inside Jen Psaki. No, that's not it. Inside with Jen Psaki. That's the name of the program. She was on Inside with Jen Psaki. And Jen asked her, what can we expect to see from Democrats tonight? And her response was, well, we can expect to see defiance. What is defiance? Well, we will see Democrats being passionate, boisterous. They'll be responding. They're going to have signs. They're going to dress in a coordinated effort. Oh, we're going to talk about that. And you may even see Democrats walking out. She said that mere hours before the address. Now, if it were me, I would not be telegraphing my strategy. And I would maybe want to keep that stuff close to the chest, given that Trump seems to be playing 4D chess right now. But they thought it was wise to broadcast that strategy. It wasn't very complicated. We could have figured it out, right? Hey, Anna Green Gables, 587. Hey, are you from home? Are you from my home, Anna Green Gables? Welcome. But what happened was that I've lost my train of thought. See, I got all discombobulated by Anna Green Gables showing up in my chat. No, but really what happened was they telegraphed this, right? And so Republicans had a chance to strategize. I think they were already doing it, but it gave them ample time to strategize accurately. They really didn't have to focus very hard. They knew where they were going. And you saw it right away. As soon as the address started, Trump knew he set them up for failure right away. Right away. I couldn't believe it. Every trap he set for them, they just walked headfirst right into. He just shoved them right in the back. And then they collapsed. In the beginning of his speech, I got to say this. I'm not just being a Trump sycophant here. I really do think Trump wants to unite the country. I really do think he wants to get everybody behind this America First agenda. And he recognizes that a lot of the Democrats hate him. But I do believe that's what he wants. And he gave them the opportunity. And he did it in Trump style. But what he said was a brilliant trap. Really, what he said was, nothing I say, no matter how good it is, no matter how positive it is for the country or individual people, I could cure cancer. Oh, I could cure it so fast. I could cure cancer so fast. And they would still never applaud or admit any kind of support for it. So what he did with that comment, and what he wasn't just complaining, everyone. What he was doing is he was setting them up. Now you have the choice. Is your strategy to make noise or to be disruptive? Well, now you have the choice. You can sit there every time we talk about good things happening in America. You can sit there and sit on your hands and look like petulant children, or you can stand up and join the rest of America in celebrating at least these few positive moments. And the Democrats picked their strategy, and the strategy was to sit on their hands. And it was not a good strategy. It made them look absolutely ridiculous. I just told you I watch CNN and MSNBC all the time. And I was watching them after the speech. And even their most loyal spokesholes in the legacy media at MSNBC or CNN, even the most loyal ones were beside themselves with how the Democrats acted. Even they knew that what happened was a travesty and not a good look. They walked into that trap head first. They got set up, and I'm going to suppose that the strategy for the night was to not acknowledge anything of Trump's, to simply ignore it or walk out or not acknowledge it unless they were going to be feisty about it. So he set them right up in the beginning, but they were prepared. And when things got out of control, now we've all seen the Al Green moment. What an administration. What an incredible couple of months. I've never seen anything like it. I would have told you that Zelensky clash in the Oval Office was about how, got an alarm. Oh, by the way, that alarm that just went off is for the Democrat YouTube town hall tonight, which I am definitely attending. I want to see what they have to say about what happened last night. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight here on YouTube on the Democrats channel. And so he set them up, but then they were clearly ready. They knew things were going to get crazy. Al Green went crazy. I mean, I couldn't have imagined that Zelensky moment would be just one in a series. I would have said, oh, well, that's something that will continue on, or that's something that will fill the quota of crazy clashes for the whole year. No, 5 days later, here we are. Al Green, the fine gentleman from Texas, decides to stand up. Do you think they put him up to that? I've been trying to figure this out. I think they did. I think that Democrats knew they were trying to have a Martin Luther King moment, right? A fight the power moment. I believe they set up Al Green to do that. But what had happened is that it's something they didn't count on. Trump set up the trap. And maybe I think a lot of them saw it coming. Trump dared them to oppose unity, to oppose positivity, to oppose good things happening. And then Al Green had this moment. Now, the other thing they weren't prepared for, and I think this much was very clear, was that Speaker Johnson was going to act quickly. I think they believed they were going to get away with these shenanigans for most of the affair. But again, because they had telegraphed that strategy so much earlier in the day, you could tell Speaker Johnson was ready. He had the process language directly in front of him. Now, I don't know if that's just what the speaker does. Maybe they just have all of this stuff. So if people get out of hand, they can look down and they could just go right away, and they could just say right away, oh, no, we can't do this. He was ready. The sergeant at arms was ready. Trump was clearly ready because Trump kept going until he heard that gavel. You knew he was waiting for that gavel, and then he just stood back and let the process happen. And so Speaker Johnson issued 3 warnings to Green. And then he had him removed. And I don't think the Democrats counted on that. And you can tell when you look at their faces. I've looked at that video now dozens of times. And each time I just look at a different person in the audience. And what I see are Democrats confused, scared, and mortified. I do believe they set up that moment. I don't believe they thought it was going to be as uncool as it turned out to be. I told this story in my Substacks today. When I was in 6th grade, on one April Fool's Day, I brought an alarm clock to school. Well, it was one of those big round monstrosities you wind up and it's got the alarm bells. It's just it's a horror show. I can't believe we ever let anyone wake up to that. But I had one of those. I think it was something cute like a duck clock or something like that. But I brought it to school. I wound it up. I set it for 11 a.m. I told the kids, okay, an hour in a class. Uh, I'm going to hide this in the back coat closet at the back of the classroom. And then an hour in a class, I am going to uh, I'm gonna set it to go off. And then when it goes off, we'll all stand up and we'll yell April Fool's Day. And it'll be so funny. And I told everyone in the class before school started, and everyone was so excited. I couldn't wait. I was sitting on pins and needles the whole time because this was going to be so hilarious, you guys. And then the alarm went off. And when it went off, nobody did a thing. Nobody moved, including me. It was like we all collectively recognized at the same time what an idiot decision that was. Even the teacher didn't say anything. She heard it go off, looked around. She saw me because I was a class clown. She saw me and she just sat there and let me sweat. And everybody just turned and looked at me and they were mortified. It was not the raise Kira up on their shoulders and tout her around the school talking about how brilliant she is with that prank. That's how I imagined it to be. It wasn't that at all. Instead, it ended up to be a mortifying moment for a 6th grader. That's what I was thinking of when I saw Al Green get kicked out last night. That's exactly what I thought about. Looking at those Democrats, they were all looking at him. They were mortified. It was like they all planned on the same trick. They were all in on it. They all agreed to it. And then when the time came and the alarm bells rang, all they could do was sit there in embarrassed silence. There was no one hoisting them up on their shoulders, carrying them out to an adoring media. It was dead silent. Adam Schiff was sitting directly in front of Al Green, and he was dead silent. He did not move a single muscle. Now, to be fair, Adam Schiff can't move his face very much. It's largely plastic and Botox right now. And I think being an evil demon also helps to set your face in one place. It definitely makes you a bit grotesque, in my estimation. But he just sat there. Nancy Pelosi, she sat there. I noticed Nancy Pelosi put a mask on at some point. So I guess she was having trouble hiding her disdain. Another member of Congress whose face doesn't move that much. They were mortified. They kicked Al Green out. And right then is when all the air went out of the Democrat opposition last night. That was the moment. That was the moment they lost the night. But frankly, you guys, I don't want to get too cocky or sound ahead of myself, but I think that's the moment when they lost the party. And it's going to take them years to get back. And the thing is, I don't think it has to take them years to get back. And hopefully no one's watching this. I don't want them to take any of my strategy advice. I want them to keep losing. But hopefully it doesn't take years for them to get back, because we do need an opposition party. Listen, I'm a Republican and I'm a conservative, but I'm not an idiot. And I know that if you don't have a balanced equation, one side's going to get out of control. You can look at Texas, which has a Republican supermajority, and they do all kinds of shady things in the Texas legislature, because a lot of people aren't watching. They just assume, well, this is the party we want. They're in control. It's fine. And you need the opposition. You need a healthy opposition. The Democrats are sick right now, so they're just dragging us all down. But they're in no danger of getting it anytime soon. And what we saw last night solidified that they did everything wrong. Those stupid little signs, they thought they were going to make a difference with those signs. Have they never seen the internet? It's just memes. It's just memeable. It's just meme cocaine. Who is advising them? I keep making jokes that the Democrats have Gen Z advising them. But if Gen Z were advising them, they would have told them, don't take those stupid little signs. It's going to be so easy to meme them. And it's just been nonstop memeing all day. They just, again, top to bottom, they did everything wrong. Their walkouts, they thought walkouts might be effective. Some walked out with Al Green. Others walked out during the president's speech. At one point, it looked like the chamber on their side was half full. Well, you know what happened? It really wasn't that dramatic. TV cameras weren't trained on them as they were leaving. So it wasn't some big procession that we all had to watch. And then when there was some hashtag resistance, it sounded weak and exhausted because there was no one there. And the Republican side was boisterous and loud and excited and joyous and humorous. And it just made them look all the weaker. It looked like there was no opposition there. Not that the opposition was strong and united against this tyrant. It looked like they didn't exist. And then, of course, we had all the moments that they chose not to celebrate along with the rest of us. And Trump very carefully chose some really inspiring stories. So some of them were really related to his political agenda. But I think the one thing we all could have agreed on was little DJ Daniel, the 13-year-old boy from Texas who survived brain cancer, 6 surgeries, I believe, was there with his father in the visitors area, chamber box. Is that what we call it? There with his father, and Trump gave him the honor of a lifetime, made him an honorary member of the Secret Service. And that moment, I mean, I'm going to cry now thinking about it. I cried when I saw the look on his face, that pure shock and joy, surprise. But then when the Secret Service director handed him his badge, he hugged him. And it was such a special moment. It's something any parent would dream of for their kids, and anyone with a heart would look at and go, that's beautiful. And what did Democrats do? They sat on their hands. They sat on their hands for that. And we all saw it. And you can't spin it. There's no spin on it. I watched MSNBC and CNN later. There's no spin on it. Nicole Wallace tried. Ooh, Lordy, I should have queued that clip up. She tried. She talked about how this was a beautiful moment. This is Nicole Wallace from MSNBC. It's a beautiful moment, she said, and one of those moments that can be nonpartisan. But then she had to go ahead and ruin it by being a lunatic. It's like she can't hide her crazy for 5 seconds. Then she said, well, hopefully he won't be one of the people who commit suicide, like the J6 cops. Hopefully he won't be one of the police officers who commits suicide because law enforcement has no support from Trump. It was just insane. I don't know how else to describe it. And I don't even think that's good for someone in my position, because I'm supposed to talk. I'm supposed to be a communicator, but it's getting really hard to communicate this level of disaster coming from the Democrats. And the Democrat Party of my lifetime has been nothing but winners. They've had a few heavy losses. Then there have been heavy losses when they take them. 2016 being one. They lost a lot during the Bush administration. But after that administration, we realized they didn't lose nearly as much as we thought they did. They've been in control this whole time. The Uniparty has been in control this whole time. And before I move on, because I want to tell you why they're not getting it. I want you to understand what's happening to them, and why what you're seeing isn't just some kind of controlled burn. Well, because they're tearing it down to build it back up. No, they are in utter chaos. I'm going to explain it to you, but let me tell you this. Those Republicans on the other side of the aisle, most of them are weak and gutless and spineless. What you saw from them is what happens when you have a good leader. And this is why leadership is important. Not because you have your hands in the day-to-day business. It's because a good leader inspires. And Trump inspires strength. Those people, the second Trump is gone, if there is a strong leader to replace him, cross my fingers for JD Vance, they'll go back to being as weak and spineless as they were during the Bush administration, during the Biden administration, during the Obama administration. Trump is who makes Republican Congress strong. I wish it didn't have to be that way. I really do, but I think that's just human nature. I don't think that's Republicans or Democrats. That's just human nature. It's why it's important to raise up good leaders. And this is why it's important that Trump is not left to do all this via executive order. One, it's weak. They're all going to get rebuked in the next Democratic administration. But two, Congress needs to change their own culture, and they're never going to have a better time than now to do it. Republicans can change the culture by acting, and we can help them change the culture by holding them accountable to do what Trump has asked them to do what we voted for them to do. But here is why we're in no danger of Democrats getting this. I don't think they're going to get this together before midterms. I don't. Barring some huge disaster on Trump's part, and we all lived through 2020, so maybe that can happen. I don't think they're going to pull it together before midterms. And if what voters have to go on is what they showed us last night, we're in no danger of them figuring this out anytime soon. Now they will eventually, but not now. Here is why. It's the California way. You've heard me say it all the time on the show. I say it every time I'm on someone else's show, especially when Kamala was running, or when people ask me about Newsom, but especially when Kamala was running and her campaign folded before she even made it to Iowa in 2020, and then somehow stumbled into the White House. But yet every time we heard from her, she was just completely, she sounded like an idiot. I don't know how else to put it. There we go. My amazing communication skills again. She sounded completely absurd every time she spoke. And I would always get questions. Why does she sound like this? What is wrong with her? California is wrong with her. And I think that we can take the microcosm of California and expand that out to explain the larger Democrat Party. All right. So here in California, as you may know, we have a Democrat supermajority. We have, let's see, I think in the assembly, it's something like 160 something Democrats to 40 something Republicans. It's ridiculous. There's no way for Republicans to get things done up there. And now Republicans have been taken off almost all of their committees because they were lodging protests about some of these crazy bills that are coming up. 1833 is a bill that will make it illegal for you to defend your home in case of a home invasion. I wish I was making this stuff up. So they removed the Republicans from those committees so that you've got a supermajority in the assembly. You've got full Democrat control of every apparatus of California government, from the governor to the Secretary of State to the Department of Education, everything. There are no opposition members to any of it. Then you have a weak California press. Because so much of our media is dominated by entertainment and tech reporting, the political California press is weak and unfunded, except for the Democrat outlets like Politico. That's really big here. They do a lot of great California reporting, actually, and informational. I'll say that. LA Times, San Francisco Chronicle, all of these left-wing newspapers, but they're still papers. They're still legacy, and they're left-wing controlled. LA Times is shifting to the right because they seem to have gotten it before anyone else. So Democrat establishment control from top to bottom in this state. It's really hard to have an opposition here. So that might sound ideal and really, really fun when that's your political party and you're in the majority. And it is, I assume. I don't think, I've never, I don't know why I've done it to myself. I've never been a part of a winning party before now. When I was a Democrat, Bush was winning. When I was a Republican, Obama was winning. I got to sit through Trump, but I didn't vote for him the first time. I didn't like him the first time, and then came to obviously love him like a lot of us. This is the first time I actually get to enjoy being part of a winning majority. And yeah, it is fun. And yeah, it does feel good to know that you can pretty much get whatever you want done within reason. But, and this is again why I want to caution Republicans, it makes you weak. Too much winning makes you weak. So here in California, we have not had to establish any kind of opposition. It can't be done as things stand right now. I'm working on changing that. And also, what happens is you're never sharpened. You never have blowback. You never have to organize. You never have to learn any lessons from losing. You never have to be held accountable for your words. You never have to be held accountable for your actions. No one ever asks you a hard question. You never have to answer a hard question. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do or go anywhere you don't want to go or talk to anyone you don't want to talk to. That sounds ideal, but that's a recipe for death, no matter where you are. If you live your life that way, you're dying. You want to know why some of these celebrities seem so out of touch? They have nobody to say no. Everyone who ever spoke common sense to them or ever told them anything hard in their lives is gone. They get weeded out by the celebrity themselves or by the sycophants that end up being resurrected around them. They've got nobody, and it turns them into narcissistic zombies. If that's how you live your life as a parent, you're going to have rotten kids. If that's how you live your life as a friend, you're going to be lonely as hell. If that's how you live your life as a CEO, your business is going to fail. That's how Democrats have been living here in California for decades now. All right. So right now we still have the Democrat complex. We haven't been able to dismantle that yet. So they're still winning here. All right. Take that example that I just gave you. Send it to Washington. By the way, tricks on you. They're already there. Oh, who are the most powerful people in Washington right now? Nancy Pelosi, Kevin McCarthy is one, Adam Shifty. I'm so used to Adam Schiff. Recently, Kamala Harris, and recently, Gavin Newsom. In fact, there were some rumors that he was meant to be the nominee. And then, thank you, Joe Biden. He decided to give the Democrats the middle finger on the way out the door. So don't laugh at it. The California playbook's already there. So if you want to know why Democrats are losing so badly right now, why don't they seem to get it? And why don't they seem to be able to pivot? Aren't these at least intelligent and experienced people? No. I mean, the answer is no. Many of them are intelligent. I don't like to call people stupid just because I don't like their opinions, right? Amy Klobuchar is one. I don't like her. I think she's a terrible person. I think she's a terrible politician, but she's not dumb. If you listen to her speak, she has a lot more facts at the ready than most of her colleagues. So I don't want to call these people dumb. They're not all stupid, but they are all lazy. And that's what happens when you win all the time and you don't have to worry about losing. And something very interesting happened to the Democrat Party in 2020, the same thing that happened to all of us. They won, I'm using air quotes, they won the election. And then they set about making sure that Republicans would never win another election ever again. And they tried to make sure that Donald Trump would never win another election ever again. And they came damn close. And it was a coordinated effort through different industries, through media, social media, all the censorship, using the FBI to track down parents at meetings, using the school board system to basically hijack the minds of children, using the public school system, all of that, the border, flooding the zone with criminal, illegal migrants, aliens, that's the term. They used all of that in an attempt to make sure that future elections would be locked down forever. It's now history, we see what happened. They overplayed their hand and the American people didn't like it too much too soon. They might have gotten away with it if they had moved just a little slower. but they couldn't help themselves. I think that's a Gen Z issue too, because they have no impulse control. So I'm saying all this to say that it's supercharged that idea for them that they were the smartest people in the room, they knew what was best, and they won, and they were going to keep winning. It supercharged that idea. What happens when you keep winning is that you never learn any lessons from losing, and you never have to. So they never really had to go ask the American people if they were okay with boys and girls sports. They never really had to go ask the American people if they were okay with a wide open border. They never had to go ask the citizens of the South Side of Chicago if they were okay with their kids getting kicked out of school to house migrant illegal men of military age. They never even thought about it because they assumed that all those people would always be there, the narrative would always be there, and the narrative would always win. This is another huge mistake that Kamala made in the closing days of her campaign, not going on Joe Rogan. And remember, the way they were making fun of Donald Trump running in 2015 was the way they were making fun of him going on Joe Rogan. And how stupid, there's that word, I'll bring it up here. How stupid do you have to be to think that it would be a poor strategy to take your campaign to the most listened to podcasts on the planet and instead depend on CNN? My show is nothing, and I get more views on a given night than some of the CNN shows, and I'm a nobody. I'm doing a YouTube live from my janky office studio. I am nobody, and I get more views than them. But that's what they were counting on. They don't get it. They don't get it. It's because they weren't used to losing. Even when they lost, they were winning. Because they always had the media, they always had Hollywood, but even Hollywood has collapsed right next to the Democrats. So they don't have the Hollywood machine to push their message anymore because we're not going to the movies. COVID killed that. Again, another thing they did, they thought they were going to get away with putting us all in this little pen during COVID. But what they did is they destroyed their own systems of communication. They destroyed Hollywood, the main conduit for their stupid, perverted, demonic ideas. They destroyed it, and then they're going, well, no one listens to us anymore. Well, you can't even be bothered to give us anything entertaining while we're watching your sloppy ideas. They did it to themselves. Like California Democrats, the national Democrats did not do enough losing to know how to win. And now they're losing so badly, they don't have the spine for it. They don't have the spine to withstand it. Do you know how much guts it takes to lose and keep pushing? I shouldn't say this because I don't know if it's a great example, but I ran the 2022 school board race and I lost and I was devastated. And it took me 2 years till now. Really, I am serious, people, till the last 6 months. It took me 2 years to get my life back together. Not because of what the unions did to me or what the local parents in my communities did to me or how poorly I and my children were treated, but because I wanted it that bad. Because I was desperate to make a change, desperate to make a difference for my children and for the children of my community. I invested everything. And so when I lost everything. And so it did take me a while to come back. But what it did was it sharpened me and it helped me learn some lessons. It's made me bolder, I'll tell you that. If I ever run for anything again, which I know I'm always telling everybody never again, but if I ever do, because I'm just justice minded and I can't back down from a fight, even when I should, it's a character flaw. If I ever run again, I tell you what, I'll never moderate my message. I didn't do a whole lot of moderating while I was running for school board, but I was very aware that I was going to donors and going to places and, you got to switch codes sometimes. I was aware of that, but I do think there were moments when I held back when I should have pressed in. But I didn't want to spook people. And you know what? That's done. And that's a lesson I learned then too. You can't win. Well, if you want to win the right way and be effective, you can't win on inauthenticity. You can't be inauthentic. So I learned lessons from that. I won't belabor that point. Democrats have no lessons to learn because they don't know how to lose. They've been very effective at setting up a strategy for victory. And I believe that started, so this could be a whole other show, but I believe that started somewhere around 1960, the 60s, probably around Nixon, when they were able to boot Nixon, is when they solidified decades of winning with a few detours peppered in there. But even again, like I say, even when they were losing, they were still winning because they had already wrestled the institutions of power behind the scenes. And that's why they hate Donald Trump. And that's why they hate Elon Musk and Cash Patel and Dan Bongino and Marco Rubio and Pam Bondi and the whole A team over there. That's why they hate them. And Pete Hegseth, because they're total outsiders, totally outsiders. And so they have no loyalties. And so they can come in and they don't owe anyone anything. And they can root out the corruption right where they see it. Because they haven't been a part of this system. And that's what you're seeing. You're watching the parasites squirm while the acid gets poured on them. They don't know what to do. They're in pure chaos. All they can do is scream and screech because they know they're in trouble and they know they're dying. That's why Trump is so hated. It's not Trump they hate, it's us. He says it all the time and he's not lying, and that's not a motto. It's true. They hate us because we're finally going to get to see what's going on behind the curtain. And it's going to be very disturbing, and it should be heartbreaking for most of us because if we do this right, most of us are going to get our hearts broken by people we trusted if we do it right. So we all got to put on our big girl panties, but Democrats don't have that ability. They've been winning for so long, just like in California. They've not had to answer hard questions. The Democrat legacy media complex has covered for them the entire time. They've never had to do anything uncomfortable, and now they're uncomfortable and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to lose. They don't know how to take a loss and turn it into experience. What do they do? So what do? They do what they've always done. Well, if we organize a protest, then the media is going to cover it and we're going to look like heroes and we're going to have all these viral clips. It's going to be amazing. Meh. Next. Well, we're all going to dress the same. And it'll look like we're all a united front because Trump is looking, he's lying to the people and saying that he has a mandate, but he doesn't. We have the mandate. And first of all, you chose the most bunk color ever. Most women can't wear Barbie pink, ladies. Most women can't get away with it. So they wore pink. They looked ridiculous. Most of them had ill-fitting suits on. I don't even know. You have so much money. You have so much access to Hollywood and fashion. You know, get a organizer in there. You know, get a stylist in there. Again, they just keep losing. Every decision they make is the worst. You got some Gen Z consultants. Well, the Gen Z kids love fashion. Have them help. They looked ridiculous. But again, that was from the old playbook. Well, this is what we do. We make a united front. They make signs. Democrats love signs. They love signs and they love trains. Don't ask me why. They love signs. This is probably some Marxist thing. So they brought signs. Well, you know what? Signs are memeable. And the internet loves memes. And guess who can't meme? Democrats. So that was a mistake. But again, from the old playbook. So they organized walkouts. What have we been seeing for the last year or so by the stupid kids on campuses? Organized walkouts, walking out of classes, walking off campus or into campus, or walking out on speeches or walking out on professors. Walkouts. That's their big thing. They organized a walkout. A disaster. It just made it look like the chamber was full of Trump supporters. And there's no opposition, which basically there isn't right now. Every choice they made was worse than the last. What do they do? Well, the ultimate thing they landed on is we just won't acknowledge Trump at all. We're not going to normalize him. That's the language on CNN and MSNBC, by the way, too. Even this morning, I was watching Eddie Glaude on MSNBC talking about "Ah, our commentary is too soft." That response was the Democrat response was too soft. They're normalizing this president. They're talking about him like he's a normal president, and he's not. All right, keep on with that, Eddie. You're talking about America. America's looking at you and going, you guys are the fringe ones. You guys are the one that wants a grown man to be able to change in the locker room next to my daughter. That's weird. Duh. It's weird. They're running the old playbook, and Trump has burned it. That old playbook burned up in the LA fires. And it's hilarious because each time a thing comes along, I think this is the end. This is the end. When I write the story of this period in our history, it'll be told in moments. It's kinda how I always tell my stories. If you've been with me for a while, you know that. It's kinda how I navigate politics. It's moments. Everything's moments. My husband will tell you it drives him crazy because I can pull a moment from 20 years ago. But because that's how I remember things, as moments, and there were a lot of moments in this story that have stuck with me. And one moment, I've told this story before, was the vice presidential debate. Walls and Vance. My daughter came into the room, 17, and she stayed for 1 minute because she obviously had better things to do. But before she left, I asked her, "What'd you think of what you saw? Just give me your raw reaction about the 1 minute you saw. It's fine." And she said, "Well, I didn't see enough to form an opinion." Good girl. But I will say this, the 1 minute I saw made me realize that JD Vance isn't nearly as weird as they make him out to be on TikTok. And that was a moment for me. That was the moment that I thought, oh boy, they have not seen what's going on. Because if my 17-year-old daughter, who doesn't pay attention to any of this stuff and doesn't care about any of this stuff, even noticed that, then what about all of the other informed people who are watching this debate tonight? And that's what happened when Trump went on Rogan and when JD Vance went on Theo Vaughn's podcast. That's what happened. People got to see them, and the truth is they're not weird. So Democrats deliberately chose this strategy of, we're going to label JD Vance and Trump and Republicans as weird, as they're pushing grown men with naked bodies into girl spaces. And then when the rest of America saw that, they're like, they don't look that weird to me. Maybe they're not the kind of guys I want to hang out with. They are for me. I would love to hang out with either one of them. But, you know, I knew then that was a moment that shifted everything for me. And I thought, they're going to win. That's when I thought. And another moment that I think changed the game for me was Karen Bass caught at the end of that jet ramp coming back to LA as her city burned around her while she was on a vacation. Only a weekend and 2 business days, as she put it, in Ghana. And that was a moment when I thought, wow, things have shifted. I believed that was a national, that moment had national significance. I still do. And last night, when Al Green was kicked out of Congress, that was a moment. To me, that was the moment that signaled Democrats are about to lose the institutional advantage. I believe it. It's not going to be without pain. It's going to happen. It's going to be rough. And that pendulum swings, and I have no doubt it'll swing very hard to the right in a lot of waves that maybe people like me won't even like. This is why I always try to remain reasonable, even though I'm getting really excited about MAGA. I'm having a great time, but I'm keeping everything in perspective, because people who win too much become insufferable. And Democrats have become insufferable. But we are getting set up for a golden age in America because of how much they're losing and continue to lose. And the other reason that they continue to lose and why they're losing now is because they don't get it and they refuse to get it. Their only explanation is we haven't messaged right. You can watch CNN, MSNBC, all of those talking heads. Every time they say the same thing. We just haven't messaged right. They don't tell you what the message is. They don't talk about what the message is. And if they even get close to talking what the message is, well, egg prices are still up. Donald Trump said he was going to lower them. Or the economy is still bad. It's still inflation. Oh, you know what? It rings hollow, everyone. Democrats, that's ringing hollow. We've been begging you to pay attention to prices for 4 years, and you called us all right-wing lunatics. So forgive us if we think everything you're saying right now seems disingenuous. Again, they did that to themselves. They could have been more reasonable what was happening, asked the American people, and taken them seriously, but instead they called everyone who said, I'm suffering, a liar. They called everyone a liar. So we can't trust you now. We're not going to trust you. They did it to themselves. They're not going to get it. What's the message? What's the message? The message is the same for them. America needs immigrants. There's not a problem on the border. The economy was doing better under Biden. Now it's doing worse under Trump. There's no issue with boys and girls sports. Oh, what? This is a big deal for like 15 people in America? Who cares? It's a tiny amount. I mean, these are the things that they're telling themselves. These are the messages they're giving out. They're telling. I went to my school board meeting to protest a book in our elementary school libraries showing little gay kids how to get on Grindr. That's pornography. And the Democrats' argument is that's not really pornography, it's just lifestyle choices. And if kids are confused about their gender, we should be able to support them in school. Is that a winning message? How do you sell that message to parents ever? You don't. It's not the messaging, Democrats. It's the message. You suck. It sucks. It's the worst. I don't know how I can say it in terms that you'll understand. I hope you don't understand it. I hope you don't. I hope you don't get it. I want to keep winning for a while. It's been a long time losing. But damn, they have no clue. They think it's a messaging issue. They blame Joe Rogan. They think Joe Rogan was the problem. By the way, Joe Rogan belonged to them. He was on their side. He was their buddy. Everything that's happening to them, they did to themselves. It's a bunch of unforced errors because they're not used to losing and they don't know what it's like to not have the power to affect things. That's what you saw with the Zelensky disaster. Susan Rice and her cronies whispering in his ear behind the scenes. And they haven't figured out yet that they are not in power and their power is waning. The last vestiges of their claws inside government, those permanent employees, that shadow government, are being hauled out. Another reason why they're so apoplectic over USAID. Why do we call it USAID and not USAID? Is it because USAID sort of sounds like help and USAID sounds more like this is a program? I don't know. I'll take your answers on that. Anyways, that's what the whole kerfuffle over the USAID thing is. That's their funding for the deep state getting ripped out. And the deep state is their power. And it's always been there since Reagan, at least, probably since Nixon, right around that time, maybe a little earlier. It's been there. And the deep state doesn't belong to one party or another. The deep state is the uniparty. So that is the explanation for why Democrats are losing and why they continue to lose. It's not a big fake out. No, they're not going to suddenly pop up and surprise you with this new strategy or how much they've gotten it or this new person. They don't get it because the very basis of their platform is rotten. They can't message because they have no message. And they aren't willing to pivot. They do not get it. And they're not going to get it anytime soon. Oh, Mustard Seedish, you have not been on my feed. I heard a rumor that YouTube is no longer showing most who had a channel before Google take over. It's no longer in our algorithm. You may need to start over. No, thank you for finding me. No, the thing is, I don't do a lot of YouTube because during the Biden administration, everything was so censored, and as I was getting ready to gin that up, YouTube squashed everything. And so I just didn't even want to mess with them. Now I'm trying to build the channel back up, push stuff out a little more. There's still a lot of censorship here, but I just think the more ways that people can hear my voice, the better. I'm still very active on my podcast, and very active on Twitter. And hopefully, as my life gets more settled, I'm about to be an empty nester. As that gets more settled, you'll see more notifications on your YouTube feed. Thank you for stopping in, and thank you for watching out for me. And if you want to help me in the meantime, go sign up for my Substack. That helps a lot because I write there as much as I can. Let's see what's coming up next week. I'm filling in for Stacy Washington. Stacy on the right. No, that is at the end. Oh, week of the 24th. I'll be filling in for Stacy Washington all week. Let's see. Friday, I'll be on News Nation. I'll be there talking about whatever. And do I have any other stuff coming up? I don't know. This industry is sort of a fly by the seat of your pants. So thank you everybody for stopping by the chat. Thank you for everybody who's listening to this on the replay. And if you want to help me and help keep this channel going, encouraged as I build it back up, just like the post and share it or drop a comment as you already have. All that helps with the algorithms. Just do that stuff. Don't worry too much about making sure things go viral or anything. I'm just really just dusting it off and kicking off the rust and getting things going. But I have realized this is no time for Kira Davis to stay silent. There's just too much to talk about. So wherever I can talk about it, I will. All right. Check out Just Listen to Yourself on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, wherever you find your audio podcast. Stay tuned to this channel. I'm going to keep trying putting those podcasts out in video form as well for you. And don't forget, until we meet again, every once in a while, just stop and listen to yourself. I mean, Democrats, seriously, listen to yourself. Listen to the things you're saying.